Hi, welcome to this 30-minute chair-based practice where we'll have a brief relaxation at the end. I just want to let all of the active LMHF subscribers know that in order to get credit for the LMHF Part 2 participation, you need to watch the entire video and then leave a comment at the end with your name. And don't worry, the comments will be removed rather quickly so they won't stay up for a while, but that's a way to check your participation. So thank you. If you want to grab a chair without wheels, that would be your best option. I have 2 blocks under my feet, but you might also use a book or a cushion from your sofa if you like. But you might also be tall enough where you're comfortable without having any lift under your feet. So join me for this half-hour practice, being chair-based, and hopefully you can find a little bit of relief as you move through these forms. I'll be doing the whole practice with you, but keep in mind that everybody's body is different. So what it looks like for me may be very different for what it looks like for you. And in this chair-based practice, you always have the option to pause if it makes sense for you. You might choose to move with your eyes opened or closed. And remember that this half hour is yours to use as it best makes sense for your body today. To get situated and started, you might find your way into your chair. Allow your back to rest. Find a way of placing your feet under the ground, under your knees on the ground. And begin to notice your surroundings. You might notice the sounds, the smells, and then taking that awareness a little bit closer into your own body as you start to notice that you're breathing. So we breathe all day and all night, but oftentimes we don't have that chance to notice. So as it works for you in this session, you might be paying attention to your breath, and you might even choose to move along with your breath. So pressing into your feet, maybe moving the weight from the balls of your feet to the heels. And then you're welcome to sit up as tall as your body allows. Maybe stretching the very top of the head. And when you feel ready for some movement, you might begin to look over the right shoulder. Coming through center in your own time, looking over the left. And you can move in a way that makes sense for you. So maybe you want to take several breaths on one side, or you might choose to move repeatedly from side to side. Eyes opened or closed. Finding some mobility in your neck, maybe coming through center, and then you might drop the chin towards the chest. Maybe roll the shoulders up and down. Stay with that as long as you like, and then explore lifting the chin. Maybe gazing up towards the ceiling. And then you're welcome to move between those 2 points. Keeping in mind that for some people, it's hard to catch their breath if the neck is folding forward, but also for others as you lift, it might be challenging. So paying attention to your own body and responding to what makes sense for you. And then maybe coming through center for a moment, letting the hands drop down by the sides of your chair. Try taking your right ear over to your right shoulder. You might feel a little bit of an awareness in the left side of your neck, and if it feels right for you, you can begin to lift and lower that left arm, reaching up, out, and over. Eyes opened or closed, maybe finding that there's a point where you're more able to feel your own body. Maybe for 3, and 2, and 1. As you're ready, you can come through center, maybe notice sensation in both sides of your body, and then you're welcome to drop the left ear over towards the left shoulder. So many of us have asymmetry in our body. It might feel different on one side. So you can explore that lift and lower with the right arm, but maybe you need to modify here. working at a pace that makes sense for you. Perhaps 2 more, and 1 more, and then coming back to center. If your feet are on a block or some type of a cushion, you can move that aside. And you're welcome to move forward in your seat so that you're sliding your bottom forward, but still to the point where you have support and you don't want to be feeling like you're going to fall off the chair. So stepping the feet a little bit wider, you're welcome to bring your arms up by the sides of your ears and then let them come down. So you might begin to move with your breath where you're inhaling and lifting and exhaling and lowering. But remembering, it's your choice of how to move, when to move, and even if you move. You're welcome to keep going with the palms facing one another, but maybe you want to try exploring this movement with the palms facing down. And it might make sense to do 1 arm at a time even, depending on what your body's feeling like right now. And then you can even try flipping the palms, lifting the arms and exploring how that shift might make a difference in your range of motion and how you're able to feel this movement. Coming back down, maybe bringing your hands to the tops of your legs and beginning to hinge forward from your hips. So your arms might be giving you support on your legs. If you have more mobility, you might bring your forearms to your legs. Or you might choose for your body to fold all the way. Maybe staying in the fold if that works for you, but always having that option to rise up, to come back to an upright seated form, and then possibly re-engage, coming forward, finding a breath or 2, rising up, and maybe 1 more, forward fold, noticing for your own body what's happening, and rising up. Walking the feet back to that hips distance. And you can use your left hand to either hang onto your chair or put your hand at your hip or behind your back. And you're welcome to raise the right arm up for a few shoulder circles. And then from that reach up towards the ceiling, you might raise your shoulder and lower it. Just kind of checking out the space and the mobility. And then leaning over towards the left. Keeping the weight even in both feet, keeping your seat nice and firm. And maybe you want movement here. You might choose to wave in and out. You might reach over and come back, reach over. Noticing for yourself, maybe for 2 and 1, and coming back through center. Sitting for a moment, noticing. And then when you're ready, opposite side, you might do a few shoulder circles on the left. Either direction, depends on what feels right for you. Exploring that distance in the left shoulder this time. And then as your body allows, you might reach to the right. And again, you might enjoy the stillness of that reach. But there's always that space for movement. To move in a way that makes sense for you, that maybe allows you to notice for 3 and 2 and 1. Coming back through center, and then stretching your right leg out. Pressing the right heel down into the carpet or the mat where you find yourself. And you're welcome to engage the muscles of the right leg from the heel, your lower leg, your upper leg. And then as you feel ready, you might lift and circle the foot, both directions. Remembering that maybe for your body, it makes more sense to keep that foot much lower. But exploring movement sensation. Coming down as you're ready. And then you're welcome to try with the opposite leg, pressing down into the heel, engaging all the way up your left leg, and then choosing to lift what height you want to lift at, and then maybe finding a little movement, circling the foot, feeling into the ankle, and lowering down. So with both feet on the ground here, you can decide how much distance you want. You're going to try and rise up onto the balls of both feet. Press down into the balls of both feet, and then bring both feet flat to the ground, and then press up. Lift the toes as you press into the heels, maybe feeling some contraction and awareness in the front of your shins. And then you can move between those 2 points. Pumping the calf muscle, coming up onto the toes, back to the heels. Eyes opened or closed. Maybe 2 more. And 1 more. And then you're welcome to widen your feet a little bit more. Bring the hands out to the sides. And when you feel ready, inhale the arms up. And as you exhale, turn to the right. Come through center. Try turning to the left. So you can do this with the arms if you like. But if it feels too taxing, you might do it without the arms and just move with the breath. Coming back to center, lowering both arms and then extending your right leg once again. Taking the left hand to the outside of the right leg and then trying to turn open to the right. Twisting through your midsection here. Remembering that if you wanted to move, you could come back to center, re-engage in that twist, come back and re-engage. Maybe 1 more. And you're welcome to try on the other side. Right leg bends, and then you extend the left leg, right hand reaches for the left, and you open. So remember, you might choose to be stationary here. And notice what's happening in your own body as you twist. But there's always space for movement. Exploring what's happening, maybe for 2 and 1. And coming back to center, bringing both feet flat to the ground. And then you're still kind of at that front of your seat. And what you're going to be invited to do next is to work on the core. So there's a couple different ways of doing this. And one is to come to the edge of the seat, cross the hands on the chest, or you might choose to keep them down by your sides. Slight tuck of the chin, and then you're welcome to lean back. So leaning back, maybe you find the back of the chair. If you do, you're welcome to just pull away from it. So you're suspending the upper body without resting the back. If you choose, you might reach the arms out in front. And depending on how your core feels, you might have that awareness right now of some contraction and you're in a good spot. But if you wanted more sensation, you could try lifting the arms and lowering them. So that may be changing what you feel in your midsection. You could also begin to lift the legs. One at a time or both together. And remember, if you feel too much tension there, sit forward and release it. Just let yourself relax. And if and when you choose, you can re-engage of leaning back, suspending the upper body, maybe extending the arms, and then exploring movement or stillness. As you're ready, we're going to come back through center. And you're welcome to sit back in your chair this time and rest the back. Give yourself that support. And then taking the right leg and crossing it over the left. So your knee may be up much more, or it may be lowering down more towards the floor. You're welcome to flex your foot so that it's active and strong, sitting up as tall as your body allows, and then coming forward. So your hands can come to the sides of your body or behind your back as you fold forward. And there's always that question of what does it feel like for you in this moment? Knowing that if you prefer, you can rise up and re-engage. Maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Coming through center, and then taking this right leg and either crossing it in front of your left foot low and squeezing the legs towards one another, or crossing it higher, letting the leg rest, or even wrapping it. So lots of options here of how you're going to position this leg. Sitting up tall once again and reaching out wide with the arms. Two opposite things seemingly happening now. The arms are reaching, the legs are squeezing. And then as you feel ready, if you do, you can bring your left arm to your right shoulder, your right arm underneath. Elbows come forward. And you breathe. Eyes opened or closed. And then perhaps you want to take it even further, wrapping the arms. Breathing here. Maybe finding some movement in the shoulders. Your own way of exploring. Always having that option to practice with eyes opened or closed. Unwinding in your own time. And then bringing both legs down to the floor, resting your spine. Breathing. And then as you're ready, you can take the left leg, cross it over the right, same idea, with a flexed active foot. Hands resting in a way that makes sense for you. And you're welcome to hinge forward. That idea of asymmetry in the body, of knowing the right and the left side might feel different. You might benefit from moving in a different way. Exploring sensation here, maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Rising up. Same idea on this side, crossing the left leg down by the ankle, over at the thigh, wrapping if you want, and then sitting up tall, finding that reach. And then on this side, the right hand comes to the left shoulder, left hand comes underneath. And you stretch forward with the elbows. Having the option then again on this side, if you wanted to weave the arms together. Maybe find some movement there. Your own experience. Perhaps one more breath. Unwinding, bringing both feet to the ground, and then moving forward again. Coming towards the edge of your chair, moving any blocks or cushions you might have around. Just step your right leg to the side of the chair. So the chair is supporting your right thigh. And you're welcome to stretch your left leg out. Remembering that it's going to look different for everyone. And it might take some fine tuning to see what feels right for you. But remember, this chair is here to support you. So your right toes are facing out. Your left toes are forward or facing in a bit if that's available to you. And then you're welcome to find a wide reach here. Maybe gazing over the tips of your right fingers. Coming into a seated warrior 2 form here. So you could move. If you wanted to, you could let your arms raise and lower. Stillness or movement. maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Letting your arms down, and then once again, finding some support. Maybe with your hand on your right leg, maybe with your forearm, it's up to you. Left arm can raise up. Breathing. Maybe you turn your gaze towards your right foot. You're welcome to reach that left arm overhead. And remember, you might want to move here, so you can lower and lift the arm, you can circle. If you're inclined, you can also lift that lower arm. Support your body. And when you're ready, come back through center. Right palm faces up. You're welcome to scoop that right arm up. Reach to the left for a reverse seated warrior. Noticing, maybe modifying, and returning through center in your own time. Letting yourself rest for a moment, kind of feel into the body, and then you're welcome to explore the opposite side. So allowing the chair to support your left leg, left toes pointing out, right leg extends, maybe the toes are forward or a little bit to the left. You find your foundation that then allows you to reach and expand. Some of us have real tight shoulders, so you can explore flipping the palms up. And there's just a subtle shift of letting the shoulders drop. Finding your breath with eyes opened or closed. And as it makes sense for you, finding some support on the left leg. Option to raise that right arm up. Maybe reach overhead. And again, you can look down at the left toes here, and you can move if it makes sense for you. Kind of exploring without judgment. And in your own time, rising up, left palm flips facing up this time as you reach up, and maybe over to the right. The left side body maybe is getting a stretch here. You might want to stick with it, but you might want to move. Your own experience. Maybe one more breath. And coming back through center, squaring yourself in your chair. If you had blocks, again, you can keep them to the side for this next round. And then coming forward in the chair. Extending both feet, pressing down into the heels, sitting up as tall as your body allows, and then trying to press as if you were pressing a gas pedal with both feet, pressing down, stretching through the lower legs, stretching through the feet, pressing down with as much tension as it works for your body. Maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Reversing that, going into that flexed foot engagement here, pressing through the lower body, so the soles of the feet, the lower legs, the upper legs. You might even feel that contraction in the tops of your legs. And then release. Bringing your heels, your soles of your feet to rest, and moving back to the edge of your chair once again. A few more twists before we move towards relaxation. So remembering that we're talking about moving the spine here rather than the head. You might even bring your hand under your chin so that you can rest your chin and know that you're not moving. Reaching to the side of your chair with your right hand and turning. And breathing. So reaching up as much as you're reaching to the right. Remember, maybe movement works for you. You want to take a breath and maybe re-engage in that twist. Coming back through center, and then you're welcome to switch sides and twist and notice your own way of moving, eyes opened or closed, maybe for 3 and 2 and 1. Coming back to center, letting your arms down, and then finding a way to sit in your chair that's supportive. So if you had something for your feet and you wanted to bring that back, you're welcome to. Keep in mind that if you're in a place and you choose to lie down here, or you prefer to be lying down, that's totally okay. Wherever you decide to be, to your own ability, let yourself find some support. Against the chair, against the floor. And if you like, you can place a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. And you might begin to feel your breath. That miraculous occurrence that happens all day and all night. But we're often distracted by all the other things we need to do. So for a moment here, if you choose, you can feel your breath. You can notice that breath. As you bring your awareness more internally, kind of turning down the noise, the commotion of what happens around you, so that you have a chance to notice, without judgment, how you're feeling. So with your eyes opened or closed, you might begin to pay attention to the area around your eyebrows and your forehead. Asking yourself if there's tension or tightness there. And what might you do to loosen that grip? Maybe to lighten that tension around the eyebrows and eyes. And with your eyes opened or closed, you might then move to the area of the face where the ears connect with the side of the face. Maybe moving down to your jaw. And it might seem goofy, but you're welcome to open and close the mouth as wide as possible. Even move the jaw from side to side, knowing that so many of us hold tension there. And then as you choose, you might pay attention to the sides of your neck, the back, the front of your neck. And maybe taking your awareness from the base of your throat out to your shoulders. Maybe asking yourself again, can I release some of the grip or tightness that's there? And from the tops of your shoulders down to your elbows. And from your elbows down to your wrists. And from the wrists to your fingertips. You might consider your breath, bringing in what you need, taking away what you don't, with each breath. And from the tips of your fingers, moving back through the lower and upper arms, you arrive at the base of the throat, and you might bring your awareness down along the front of your chest, your sternum. And again, it might be useful to use hands to feel that breath, to find those subtle movements, allowing the breath to move as freely as possible without any containment. And from the belly to the top of the legs, down to the knees, the ankles, and maybe at the soles of your feet. You consider your breath at the tip of each toe, bringing in and taking away. And from the tips of the toes, traveling back through the lower legs, the upper legs, checking in at your seat Noticing how your body's supported and bringing that awareness of your body and your breath from the base of the spine, traveling all the way up. And perhaps for a moment or two here, you're able to rest, observing your breath, knowing that how you breathe sustains your body. If your eyes have been closed, you might choose to open them. Maybe bring a little movement to the fingers or the toes, the wrists or the ankles. And acknowledge your practice. Acknowledge your willingness to take a half an hour to move and breathe and notice. So I hope that you've enjoyed this practice, and take care. Thank you.